Hi everyone, my name's Helen and I'm sharing my story of being adopted and how it has affected my life. I was adopted from Seoul, South Korea by an Irish couple that moved to Australia prior to adopting me, and they've given me the best life that they possibly could. There seems to be just a handful of Korean adoptees, and I would love to meet any out there because I've got one friend who is adopted from Korea and she has a kid, and I've got another Korean adopted friend from Perth who was adopted at the same time as me, who was one of my whose parents are my parents' family friends. Um, so I've also met one through YouTube too called Kelly, and her YouTube channel is Baby Belly Kelly. And we've emailed about our experiences, good and bad, and it's really helped me to confront some issues and realize that I'm not the only one out there, which is how it feels sometimes. I am forever grateful that I've been given this kind of life. I've been living with a loving family in a safe country, but there is personal issues that I've dealt with, and I'm only just realizing that they actually go back to post adoption issues. Whether that's the fear of being abandoned or that someone you love in your life might leave, are ongoing issues that were planted from 0 to 5 months old, which was when I was adopted at 5 months old. It has affected my relationships and friendships, and have also put a gap between my family in my early teenage years. I went to a small private girls' school, and that was up to year 11. And in junior school, primary school, I just thought I was like everyone else, and I never really gave much thought that I looked different to my parents. And though I was in a small class, my friends were accepting, and no one really asked about it. Um, the questions I did get though was, "Oh, what about your real parents? Where are they?" And when they hear you're adopted, they ask, "Oh, do you know your real parents?" And when they say real parents, that really gets to me because I see the parents I have now, the ones who brought me up, as my real parents. And I see the ones who gave birth to me as my birth parents because my parents who adopted me gave me love and care like any parent would. So I see them as my real parents, and that's what I tell them. As I did start getting older, especially in high school, I did feel somewhat ashamed of being Asian, and I wanted to be more white. So that was buying like blue contacts and not wearing like Asian clothes like Hello Kitty or anything. Um, but I love being Asian now, and I wouldn't change it for the world. But that was just my feelings being a child and living in a white family in a school that had a lot of white people. And I did get teased with my Asian looks and just being me. And I will never forget the time when I went on a holiday with my family to a place that's about 3 hours away from where I live, which is Australia. As I was walking up the path to the house which we were staying in, a boy my age and his friends were playing at the tennis court. And as I was walking up, they were yelling in that raised, nagging kid voice of ni hao and ching chong and oh hello in that Asian accent that you just know is so mocking and insulting just because they're looking at your face and thinking that you're just like every other Asian, which is not true at all. But to those with very small, closed minds, that's what they see the world as, which is a very sad thing. But I was confused. I was 8 or 9, and I was confused because one, I wasn't Chinese, and I learned Chinese in junior school, and ni hao and all them is not how you say hello in Korean. And I couldn't understand that, and I just thought it was so rude, and I was so insulted. And I considered myself Aussie Irish. I really hadn't accepted that I was Korean, even though my parents did culturalize me with Korean things, like they bought me the old folk tales from Korea, the Hanbok, and just books on Korea, which was great. I still did consider myself more Australian and Irish, and it was the first time I was actually reduced to tears by those kind of comments. It really did hurt, and I only wanted to have white friends too, because I didn't think it was cool to have Asian friends in year 7 and 8 and in junior school too. I thought I was cool, and I was subject to harsh online bullying by boys from another private school, and I was called ugly and fat, and it didn't help that I had braces, and my naturally curly hair was unknown to a straightener. So yes, I was a bit of an ugly duckling, and those years really crushed my self-esteem just because of what people said to me and how people treated me. Like I was just so different, and like I felt like a freak sometimes. It left me feeling lost with who I was, nationality wise, and it kind of left me feeling a little bit bitter towards my birth mum on why do I have to look like this, and why was I taken to a place where no one likes me and no one accepts me and people think I'm ugly and fat, and I just felt very bitter towards the situation, and I wanted to change it sometimes, and I thought, why me? Why am I in this situation? Why am I somewhere where I don't belong? But over time, I started to accept it, and it got better. In year 8, I rebelled against my parents and my school. I didn't want to wear the correct uniform, and I wanted to get lots of piercings. I got my ears pierced 5 times, and I had my belly pierced at 13. I pierced my nose at 15. I don't know if you can still see the scar, maybe. I got a tongue piercing at 16. I got my first tattoo at 16. And then I got another on my side where the word rise above is, which is a phoenix. And then I got another a couple months later on my back, which is not great. It's still unshaded and it doesn't look good at all, and I really regret it. I really don't know what I was trying to achieve by doing that, but it had something to do with my pain, I guess, emotionally. Doing those things made me feel better, and rebelling made me feel like I was doing my own thing. I was my own person because I felt like I didn't belong. I did stay in school until the start of year 12. I got good grades, and you could say I was academically capable. I did like some subjects like biology and English, but in the end I couldn't take the pressure from the school, which was a very high achieving school. They did try to help me to stay in school because they thought I was capable of getting a good mark as my score, but unfortunately I went with what I thought was best, which wasn't, and I ended up leaving because another reason was I just felt so different from my school friends, because I knew that they were all talking about me behind my back because I was doing the bad things, and yeah, I didn't feel comfortable there. In 9 and 10, I started making more Asian friends, and that was when I started smoking pot, which wasn't great. I've stopped now, but at the time, I just did feel a lot more comfortable around Asian friends, and I like to escape my feelings of loneliness through smoking pot. I made an unhealthy relationship with guys, and although I had a serious boyfriend from 13 to 15 who I went out with for 23 months, he was like a best friend, and I think I did love him, though it was young love. I still seek the attention from... I did, during the relationship, seek the attention from guys, which hurt my ex, and I feel so guilty about it because, I don't know, I just wanted to feel accepted, and that just hurt both of us. That would mean that I would get physical just to feel liked, and then me and my boyfriend broke up in 2010 because it was just too much for both of us, and I was just guilt-ridden, and that was when I was getting pretty bad with my parents. I was fighting with them and getting so angry and physically throwing things at the walls, physically threatening my mum. And that was when me and my dad also got in our first physical fight. It wasn't anything bad, it was just definitely not good. And it was just definitely showing how out of control I'd become and how angry and how troubled I was with problems I didn't even know I had. So in 2010, I agreed with my parents to go on a camp. Um, I really didn't get the details of the camp, even though there was a website, and I could have researched it, but I just thought, yeah, whatever, life can't get any worse. It can be some time out from school too, so whatever, let's go. Um, just some tents and a bit of hiking, but I was completely wrong. I was so far off from what I thought it was. I took a plane to Las Vegas with my mum, and I was driven by transporters to this place called Red Cliff Ascent. Usually, the people who go to this program are taken involuntarily by the transporters who organise this trip with their parents. I don't think I could handle that, and the fact that I did go voluntarily and I left on a good note with my parents gave me that advantage of not feeling like you were, taken away by these people because your parents didn't want you, which are probably the feelings I would have got if these transporters came and took me in the middle of the night and handcuffed me and sent me off to Utah. That is where I spent 3 months of my life discovering myself. I can't begin at how extreme this camp was. It's unimaginable. Basically, you are in the wilderness and you start off with a tarp and 2 seat belts to make your backpack out of, and in which you must roll your sleeping bag, your clothes, and hang your saucepan off somehow. You're also given the same clothes as everyone else in your group, which is red track pants. You're also given a pair of Dickies, a white t-shirt, hiking boots, and good old Crocs or Holly Soles, those plastic sandal shoes that I'm not a big fan of, but I had to wear. You must earn your luxuries as well, such as getting a real backpack. You have to do 7 phases in this program, and that's got skills such as making a fire with a bow and drill set, making traps, identifying plants, etc. And once you finish these, you are eligible, and that means you are able to graduate/leave the program, but you also must be therapeutically ready, which is a slight problem I had. I'd finished the phases at 61 days, and I had to wait another 2 weeks because I wasn't therapeutically ready, because you can only graduate every 2 weeks. I was devastated. I thought I was going home, and then to be told that I wasn't, and I had to stay there for another 2 weeks was crushing. The days before I thought I was going home, I thought my parents were over in a plane coming to get me, but I was completely wrong. So that was just, it was hard, but I did push through it. I don't regret it. I think it was an amazing 3 months of my life, even though you can only communicate through letters to your family, and you have therapy sessions twice a week. I'd also just broken up with my ex, so that was really hard because I couldn't talk to him, I couldn't contact him. I had no idea what he was doing, and by the time I got back, he had a new girlfriend. I'd dealt with my own problems, I'd gotten over him, but it was still a little hard, Then to see him with another girl, it did hurt. Not that I could expect any less of how I treated him. Once I knew I wasn't leaving the camp in the first few weeks, I started knuckling down and I actually started to enjoy it. I miss the tranquility and the simplicity of just waking up to a fresh morning and just hiking and then going to sleep early at night under the stars. But it was really quite peaceful, and I did actually lose my anger issues, which were totally out of control beforehand. I feel like I'm so much more of a calm person. I'm not so physically aggressive. I don't get physical with my parents. That program really got me, I guess, in touch with nature